The meeting is called to order at 7:02 p.m. This is a this is a regular meeting of the Ferndale Board of Education scheduled for Monday, May 18th, 2020. It's a public meeting in accordance with the Public Meetings Act being held virtually due to the executive order of the Governor of Michigan allowing meetings to be held virtually right now. Roll call, Ms. Shepherd.
Dookie.
Here.
Hart.
Here.
Abraham.
Here.
Mueller.
Here.
Latash.
Here.
O'Donnell. Oh, he's not there. And President Davison.
Here.
Thank you.
That for math in Mrs. Ravine's class, Matthew is not earning credit.
We're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Just put those names.
Place your hands on your hearts.
Of Mrs. Ravine's name. Yeah.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all.
It's going to look very official and have our header on top and everything.
Okay. Item 1.3, the approval of the agenda. Does anybody have any amendments they would like to make to the agenda? All right. Seeing none, the agenda will be accepted as is. We have, I'm sorry, I'm going back and forth between the agenda and the screen.
Oh, I'll share the screen.
We have student representatives with us on our Zoom call. Zoe Butters, would you like to address the board?
Yeah, I would like to. Thank you. So I have a few things that have been going on since the last time I've spoken with you. We right now have our virtual graduation scheduled and are finishing up the classes. So getting ready to graduate. And so for the seniors, there are coming up some days where we will be able to come to the school to pick up our caps and gowns and to drop off any textbooks that we have from this past year. And so that is going to be based on your last name. So there is an email in to tell you which day to come in. And I would also like to, as a senior and after being the student representative for 2 years, I really want to thank all of you for letting me come to the meetings and share with you what's going on and letting me come to and listen and share my thoughts. And it's been really great. And I'm gonna stop now. Thank you so much. I'm gonna stop now so that I don't cry. Thank you.
Thank you, Zoe. We've appreciated all your contributions to our meetings in the last 2 years.
Thank you.
Is Naya with us?
Yes, I am.
From UHS?
So recently Students received a fun surprise in the mail. Staff sent students a really cool bracelet reminding them of their best. And is there anything to call the number? Continue to do online. Sorry. We have continued to do online work and activities posted on Google Classroom daily, and teachers are working really hard to stay connected with students through online office hours, Google Classroom, and more. Seniors, we are anticipating graduation and other senior activities. We have waited for this moment for a really, really long time, and we thank Ferndale Public Schools for making the most of this time for us, even with the circumstances. And along with that, we were able to celebrate Decision Day. There were giveaways and scholarships available during this time, and it was great to see my classmates and hear about the amazing things that they plan to do once they graduate. And also, I would like to take this time to thank all of you for this opportunity. I have learned so much about how decisions are made about my education outside of my classroom, and it feels good to know that this group of people have all of our best interests at heart. And it's just been a really great experience, and I cannot wait to see the great things that Kai and Zane do during their senior year. And I just know that you guys will continue to grow and do amazing show-stopping things. And yeah. Are there any questions? Alrighty, if that will be all, that's the conclusion of my report. Thank you.
I don't have any questions. I just want to say what an absolute pleasure it's been. Hold on. Sage, please stop. I just want to say what an absolute pleasure it's been to spend time with both of you and having you take such a bigger part at the table. We have learned so much from you, and you've made our discussions richer, and you've made the decisions that we make so much realer having you there. I can't express to you how much it means to us.
Can I say one thing? Naya, I will miss you on bus 25. You're an amazing young lady, and good luck with your future. It won't be the same without you, but good luck, girl. You're awesome.
Thank you. I will miss you as well.
Yeah, we'll still have fun without you, but you just go on. Good luck.
Thank you very much, Naya, and we appreciate everything that you've shared with us during your time presenting to the board, and we wish both you, Naya, and you, Zoe, the very best and as you move forward, and we're sure you will accomplish great things. Thank you for contributing to our decision-making process with the first-hand viewpoint. With that, we will move to the presentation, the building presentation. This month, it's Mr. Seth Petty from Ferndale Middle School.
Good evening, Board of Education members and Dr. Bozzi.
I'm getting there, sorry, yeah.
We've been able to do a lot of great things this year in concert with our central office leadership, starting with our superintendent, Dr. Bozzi, Dina Roslow, as well as Tom Mays. And we've come with the focus of really wanting to look at data and how to use that data to adjust and improve our overall instructional practice. We have some exceptional teachers at Ferndale Middle School, and I know working with them has been a true pleasure. Our three major rocks, which also come from our school improvement plan, are our AVID implementation, our impact hour program evaluation, and our data teams. Today's presentation is going to really focus a lot on our data teams and the work that we're doing around once again, looking at data and adjusting our instruction to improve our overall achievement levels, as well as identify ways to increase student engagement.
Seth, just tell me when you want me to say next.
Next slide, please. Yes,
Yeah,
hard to
thank
tell
you.
your boss next one.
No, please do.
All right. Yeah, so as you can see, we started a bi-monthly data cycle process with a focus on analysis of pre-assessment data, formative assessment, and summative assessment processes. Very important. I know just looking at what are our students' strengths and weaknesses. Next slide, please. This is a sample. Each content area did a instructional learning cycle. Our Spanish teachers, our social studies, science, ELA, and math department. This sample set of data came from our math department. Jasmine Bates, Bridget Garrett, Dave Murdoch, and Mike Sigler, our ILT lead. Next slide, please. One of the things we looked at, and we've been trying to have a lot of conversations, is around vertical instruction. What are we seeing at 6th grade, 7th, and 8th grade? How can we take those data points and identify, once again, the strengths and the weaknesses, but also making sure we have some continuity in what we want our students to do. In the pre-planning, the teachers were able to identify standards that they felt vertically, and from 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, that they felt would be a great focal point to try to work with students on. 6th grade chose understanding of multiplication. 7th grade, once again, multiplication of division and dividing fractions. In 7th and 8th grade, looking at algebra, linear equations, as well as subtracting and adding and multiplying and dividing rational numbers. Next slide, please. In that pre-planning, teachers create the pre-assessment, which was a 5-question assessment that all FMS students received. The questions and tasks, once again, were focused on assessing how well students would do on those 3 standards that I showed on the previous slide. We also wanted to look at how those standards also matched up with M-STEP claims and targets. One of our goals within the math department was also identifying procedural fluency and knowing that there's a direct correlation between student success with algebra. And I don't want to speak out of turn with a superintendent who's an algebra teacher, but also understanding the need to have fact fluency in that process. Next slide, please. When you look at the pre-assessment piece, and part of the process is for teachers to make predictions, identifying the standards, and then thinking about where do you think your students are, just based on your current instruction and assessment of their work product. So they were able to come up with predictions. And as you can see, many of the teachers, based on this data, based on their initial predictions, felt like the students weren't going to do really well overall based on their interactions at that point in the year. Next slide. So when they gave the pre-assessment, these were the actual results. Teacher B and D, which once again are going to be our sample sets that we're using. We actually had, as you saw on the original slide, 5 teachers who participated. 2 and 9% were proficient. 2 and 18% close to proficient. 96 and 73. And B and D who were far from proficient. Next slide, please. When they looked at the results, which is another part of the process, it's not just to look at the numbers, but as I said earlier, looking at how we can adjust instruction. Not just looking at numbers and looking at students, but what can we do to improve our students' performance? One of the things they looked at was what caused it. And a lot of the conversations in the vertical, looking at 6th, 7th, and 8th, once again came with that commonality, that fact fluency. But what are action steps? So we looked at, and they looked at as a department, how to identify resources, how to look at, how this score and these assessment results would impact us on the M-STEP test, which we're expecting to take. What remedial support opportunities like Khan Academy, Easy Bridge, and Smart Group peer-to-peer supplemental resources also as an opportunity, once again, to try to support our long-term goal in improving student score on this particular standard. Next slide, please. So teachers went into deep instructional planning during their PLC times. So teachers used that data to develop strategies for differentiated instruction. They developed strategies for students to set out on targets or SMART goals to identify how much growth they expected to have after this, consistent and concentrated instruction. But one of the most important parts of this process was the vertical goal of reducing the total number of students who were far from proficient and partially proficient. It was a 6-week cycle, once again, looking at differentiated instruction, reteaching, with a focus on procedural fluency application, small group instruction, as well as collaborative group work methods. And it was about I would say it was about a 6-week process overall. Next slide, please. As you can see, the post-assessment data improves really tremendously for Teacher D. When you look at the overall performance for B and close to proficient, we saw increases. One of the unfortunate pieces of us ending at this point in the year is we want to continue to maintain this process where we're looking at the data and adjusting our instruction to improve and have more kids at the proficient, and once again, reducing dramatically that far proficient number. Next slide, please. Our goal is to use the data to drive instruction. Our second partnership was with our second growth goal this year for data analysis was with our ELA department. We worked with Oakland schools and we embarked on a year-long analysis of our student performance, our curriculum, our curricular pacing, and looking at how well we were doing with the ELA standards. And here's a sample of that work that our ELA teachers are doing and will continue to do going forward this year, well, forgive me, this year and throughout next year. Next slide, please. We started with a baseline data piece, and I know it was Bob Francis, myself, along with Aaron Blatt, Caitlin Clayford, Mary Farini, and the support of Dina Roslow, and just looking at, you know, how can we work and look at what our goals are, what are the essential elements that we're covering, how does that vertical alignment look? As you can see, you got 6, 7, and 8, having some continuity in what we expect students to have mastery over by the end of 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade, but really having a common language and expectation of what we are trying to work on as individual departments as well as a building. Next slide, please. Our first attempt to putting that together a framework, and I'll ask Danya, Dr. Bozzi, if you can click on the first one, was to really look at, you know, what were areas, yikes, I didn't give her access. Well, in that particular slide, it really hit on what were we teaching throughout the year. So when we looked at those pacing pieces, we were actually able to identify what we were teaching, and then, once again, not just teaching to the test, but also, you know, allowing for the creativity of the teacher, but also analyzing what within our pacing guide and our standards do we need to put a little bit more of a focus on as we prepare students for M-STEP and PSAT. In that work, we found some amazing data, and I'm gonna have to release it to Dr. Bozzi and share it with you. But in the data, we were really able to look at how we do have a lot of focus on literature, but we also have to begin, based on our research and our analysis of what we're teaching, to start spending concentrated efforts on informational reading and informational writing. And knowing that, once again, we want kids to have the joy of reading, but we also had learned from our data analysis with our ELA department that we have to create more consistent pacing around informational reading and writing across all 3 grade levels. Next slide, please. So where are we now? We're continuing to build the framework. We want to carry this process across ELA, math, science, and social studies. So we are, once again, looking at the data and adjusting our instruction to meet our students' needs. We want to readjust our instruction based on best practices, really focusing on small group instruction, looking at research-based activities. We also are formally participating in culturally relevant teaching in the brain by Zaretta Hammond, which has been tremendously important to us as we look at student engagement and teacher relationships with that process. But we look forward to continuing to do this work. Next slide, please. But we will be remiss if not to thank Dr. Bozzi and you all, the Ferndale Board of Education, for your continued investment in Ferndale Middle School. We are so thankful for the new books that you all bought, which once again will go towards our target of increasing our students' reading and stamina. Our new classroom flexible seating, which will allow us to start breaking up classrooms and instructional practices into small group instruction. You know, the carpeting, the blinds, to just continue to make our building one of the finest buildings in the state of Michigan, which once again supports the phenomenal staff that we have, which includes, you know, my great AP Bob Francis and all of the great teachers who are at Ferndale Middle School. But we would not be where we are right now without the support of you all, once again, especially Dr. Bozzi and the entire Board of Education.
Seth, thank you very much. And we appreciate all your efforts and continuing to do your part to ensure that academically we're pushing our students' ability and meeting them where they're at and understanding the data. I'm going to just share one more document, your strategic plan document that you shared. So
yes,
you can just share, you know, one of the objectives, one of the tactics and objectives that you chose to highlight.
Yeah, we chose our empowerment, and our objective was foster a positive culture within the school environment by focusing on proactive and restorative strategies while addressing challenging behaviors in a consistent manner through cohesive policies and practices. We are very fortunate, once again, to have the partnership and the support of our central office, and once again, Dr. Bozzi and Dina Roslow, especially supporting us in, you know, retooling our social emotional impact hour program. Our SEL committee worked tremendously hard on, you know, both creating new lessons as well as identifying topics that our students would feel really engaged, you know, especially looking at executive functioning, looking at those skills, those soft skills that our students need to learn. We utilize our restorative practice coach. Ferndale Youth Assistance has been phenomenal, has been a phenomenal resource. We've also utilized our school social worker, Mrs. Ann Kelly, and our school counselor, Carolyn Nicholson. As I said earlier in a previous presentation, our culturally relevant teaching and the brain text has been a phenomenal resource. But you know, one of the things that has been most astounding, and I would say was really allowing us to look at how these strategies were working prior to us going out on March 13th, we were about to have the lowest suspension rate at Ferndale Middle School that we had had in almost 5 years. So this work definitely was a contributing factor to the successes. I would say that objective, along with the partnerships and the resources that we have available, I'm very excited about it continuing the work that we have. And I know even as Dr. Bozzi tells us, you know, even as we reduce the suspensions, probably, as I said, as low as they had been in 5 years, and she told me she doesn't want any suspensions. She wants kids in school learning and us looking at always best case scenarios to support student learning. So I'm not gonna say she says never kick them out, but she says make sure we're supporting. And with these partnerships, we are supporting. Ferndale Youth Assistance has been phenomenal in working with our students. The SEL Impact Hour and giving students problem-solving strategies has been a great tool. Our restorative practice coach working and providing mediation has been a very important strategy in supporting. And as I said earlier, the culturally relevant teaching text, which allows us as adults to really reflect on how we are impacting situations and how we can grow and learn how to build stronger relationships. So I'm excited about the work. I just hate, as I said earlier, that we're not in school, because we definitely, you know, feel like with the work that we're doing, that we're going to have continued success at Ferndale Middle School.
Thank you, Seth. Obviously, yes, we want kids in school, but, you know, at the same time understand that we want things that work for our students so that their learning continues no matter what. So thank you, Seth. Presentation.
Thank you, Dr. Bozzi.
May I just have one question, since this has been a year, roughly a year, right, since you started, Mr.
Yes.
Petty, right?
Yes, sir.
So, well, aside from the renovated middle school bathrooms, can you tell us what your most pleasant surprise within the school has been in the year you've been here?
I guess it's always, for me, my greatest joy is the kids. And I know, you know, coming in mid-year, it was an adjustment for the kids. It was an adjustment for the staff. It was an adjustment for the community. I would say, my greatest joy is, being around the kids and seeing the excitement they have for learning. I would say that the second piece is having a board of education and a superintendent like Dr. Bozzi, who, is about really investing and has a heart for students. So I would say those are probably, the greatest joys that I've had since I've been here, the kids, and knowing that you have a really supportive central office and superintendent.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Mr. Petty. It's exciting to hear about targeted interventions based on data, meeting the individual needs of our students, as well as the positive outcomes of reduced suspensions from the the social emotional program that the school implements. So it's exciting, and it's good to hear about it. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much. And as I said in that last slide, we really appreciate the investment that the Board of Education has put into Ferndale Middle School. And we just continue to thank you. And we look forward to, rewarding you with, higher test scores and kids who love coming to school.
All right.
And satisfied parents.
Better.
That latter one is the most important one of all. Kids who love coming to school.
That's the biggest piece. That's the biggest piece. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Seth.
We will move into item 4 on the agenda, the enrollment update. Mr. Bill Good.
Hello, everybody. How you guys doing?
Good.
Good, thanks.
These numbers that we're going to go over about a week old now. So at the end, I'll give a brief update to the update. But essentially what you're looking at right here is where we were on roughly May 13th over the previous 5 years. You can see that we are significantly down when compared to the previous 4 years. Obviously, that has a lot to do with the pandemic. We were trending ahead of all of our previous years prior to the start of the pandemic. So I still anticipate we're going to have a very strong enrollment season. It's just a matter of, when folks start to, get around to enrolling. So we're starting to see some real updated movement, which is good. But again, we are trending behind where we've been, but I'm confident we'll catch up. So if you just going through the next couple slides real quick, Dr. Bazzi, all of these are just, again, the charts of the numbers you just looked at. Again, they just show that, we're down, by a healthy amount, but again, it's got to be due to the pandemic. We're just not getting the types of numbers that we traditionally do. I don't think that we're not going to have these students show up. I think it's just an artificially depressed environment right now because nobody knows what next school year is going to look like, and so folks aren't really, concentrating on enrolling. Previously, we're starting to see it now. So in April, we averaged about 0.866 applications per day. May, we're already, as of the 13th, we were averaging 1 application a day, so already ticking up. Typically, we were around 1.5 applications per day is about average this time of year. In the last 5 days since I put these numbers together, we've had 10 applications, so that bumps it all the way up to 2 applications per day. So you can see that the volume is starting to pick back up again, which is really, really good. So as the governor made some announcements today about some different areas of the state reopening in a limited capacity. I think as folks start to hear those types of messages, even though they don't directly relate to us yet, I think it starts to shift people's mindset into starting to return to some semblance of normalcy, which again we'll start to see some folks starting to start the enrollment process. We also have sent out last week the intent to return form. This is something that we're doing just to help us better forecast from a budgetary standpoint with perspective and likely budget cut coming to our per pupil allotment. It's more important than ever that we're as accurate as we can be in our forecasting for our enrollment in the fall. We've already had almost 800 folks turn that, respond to that in, a little over a week. So that's really a really high number. When you think about if you remove our senior class from our numbers, we're only at about 2,500 students. So already having 800 out of 2,500 are really, really solid numbers. The vast majority have indicated that yes, they will be back, which is really encouraging. I think we've had maybe 6 folks who say they weren't going to return out of, like I said, nearly 800. So really high percentage of folks saying they're going to come back, which is great. I think one of the other things that's really going to aid with enrollment, I know a lot of folks have some, you know, they're a little bit shy about going out in public and you know, going into public spaces. So with the new procedure we have set up in MyStar, we're now able to collect documents digitally in a secure digital Dropbox. So that's really important because in the past we haven't accepted a lot of documents digitally because we didn't have a secured way to manage that. And we obviously don't want to take on stuff from our community that we can't make sure that we're being, you know, good citizens and maintaining that in a safe way. So this new digital secure Dropbox that MyStar has built allows us to do that, and which again will allow us to take a much more wider variety of paperwork, which will limit the amount of times that folks will have to come into the enrollment office, which is really, really good. The big concerns we have right now is there's just massive uncertainty with enrollment. We were trending to a big class. I think we'll still end up there, but again, we just don't know. It remains to be seen, you know, with the downturn in the economy, what that does to housing, you know, what that does to, you know, folks in our community. So that's something we're keeping an eye on. And again, it's something we're you know, we don't know what it's going to bring, but we know that there's great uncertainty right now. And then the other thing that we're really, you know, curious to see is if it appears that we're going to have a virtual fall, which we don't have an indication of that yet. I would say it looks unlikely at this point from everything I'm seeing. But again, I'm not privy to any other information that everybody else isn't. We're very curious to see if it is a virtual fall, how that impacts us, and if that leads to less students changing class or changing schools, as well as what type of impact that would have on the enrollment at the TCEC, again, if everybody is virtual already. One of the big draws of that school is, of course, that it is we offer a virtual curriculum there. So if everybody's automatically virtual, we don't know how that would impact the TCEC as well. So that's something else we're keeping an eye on. So that's all I have, pending your questions. All right.
Bill, will you need anything from the board regarding extensions? Any further extensions on schools of choice windows? Most likely because of the slowdown.
I can't say for certain. One of the big reasons I want to get all of as many intent to return forms back is I want to be able to give the board and Dr. Bazzi a really good handle of where we think enrollment's going to go, or also, you know, the retention piece of that as well. So we can make some informed decisions with regards to the amount of applications we have, you know, the likelihood of finishing those out and actually having students start in the fall with how many students we expect back. So we're not just blindly extending windows, that we can do so in a real strategic manner. So
Sure.
That's something we'll have some more information on, hopefully around the beginning of June. And then we can discuss it then. But I would say it's possible, but I really wouldn't say how possible at this point.
Okay. Yeah. Just keep, you know, we'll do what we need to do.
Appreciate that.
And then related to that, I know it looks like re-enrollments are going well, but have you also seen a slowdown in, you know, just normal, the normal sorts of turnover where schools are requesting our records? Is that also below average?
Yeah, I would say it's slower than usual, but that's hard to tell, you know, what that really means, because it could just be that their offices just aren't open at this point, or they're not very active. So again, this is such a weird time, you know, without, especially not knowing how other districts are operating their offices. It's really kind of hard to draw any conclusions, but I would say that we are seeing, you know, a lot less than we typically do this time of year.
Okay. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Bill, do all of our current windows take us to around June 30th?
I'd have to look. I think we have one expiring at the end of May, the beginning of June, the middle school window.
Okay.
But I'd have to look at that. But I believe that one is the only one that's set to expire prior to June 30th. But again, we can look at where those numbers are going to be, and if we need to extend it out to June 30th to match the other windows, that's something we can look at.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
All right, thank you guys very much.
All right, thank you, Bill. That will bring us to item 5 on the agenda. This is the opportunity in the meeting for public comment. Any member of the community that would like to address the board has the opportunity to do so with a span of 3 minutes for each speaker. Please share with us your name, and if you would like a response from the district, please send an email to Dr. Bazzi's assistant, Kimberly Shepard. Her email address is kimberly.shepard@ferndaleschools.org. And we will be sure to get back to you. Do we have any members of the community that would like to address the board tonight? If so, go ahead and unmute yourself and chime in.
Hi, this is Maurice Tellisford, the president of the Ferndale Education Association. I just want to report that, as you know, we reached a tentative agreement and our membership ratified it last Friday, pretty overwhelmingly. I think it was record time in terms of how long it took us to bargain the agreement, or the opposite, how quickly we were able to bargain the agreement. And personally, I think that speaks to the really good relationship that I have with Teresa, both of us being the chief negotiators, and how we have a level of trust that we've established over the years working together. In the past, it's been difficult sometimes when you're working with someone you've never met, like an attorney or an interim, excuse the baby, an interim district administrator, to have the same degree of trust that Teresa and I have cultivated. So I want to thank the board's team as well as our negotiation team for reaching an agreement. We think it was fair, and we hope that you ratify it tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Maurice. Are there other members of the community that would like to address the board?
No, not really. I sent an email to Bill Good, Crystal Brock, Vice President of Ferndale Upper Elementary PTA, in regards of studying. We met in order to talk about what future events will look like. We already know no assemblies, but there are things that we can do virtually that we would like to move forward with. So we kind of wanted some numbers before putting any investments towards that. And then from the diversity committee meeting, nope, we're just still going ahead planning with the town hall meeting for general community outreach. So that's it.
Thank you, Crystal. If there's, I don't have everybody open in front of me, but if there's anybody else that would like to address the board, please do so now. Hearing no more, we will move on to the consent agenda. The consent agenda tonight consists of item 6.1, the request to approve the minutes of the regular meeting from April 20th, 2020. Item 6.2, the request to approve minutes of the special committee of the whole meeting on May 4th, 2020. Item 6.3, the request to approve minutes of the special meeting from May 11th, 2020. Item 6.4, the request to approve bills and accounts for the month of April. Item 6.5, the request to approve resignations and new hires. And item 6.6, the request to approve the Head Start Director's Report. Does anybody wish to remove an item from the consent agenda? Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda? Moved by Anna, seconded by?
Second. Oh,
by Jim.
Jackie, I think.
Oh, Jack. It was a close call. I'm not sure.
Doesn't matter.
Seconded by Jackie Hart. Roll call, Ms. Shepherd.
Dookie,
Yes.
Hart,
Yes.
Ibrahim,
Yes.
Permuller,
Yes.
Latash,
Yes.
O'Donnell,
Yes.
President Davison.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. With 7 yes votes, the consent agenda is approved. We move into section 7 on the agenda, the action agenda items for the night. Item 7.1, the request to approve the Ferndale Education Association tentative agreement.
Sorry. Oh, sorry.
No.
Oh,
Sorry,
yeah.
are we moving first or are you explaining first?
Oh, you guys know better than me.
I think Dr. Bazzi, we'll let you explain it and then we'll move.
I'm gonna let Teresa, but I echo. I'm gonna let her explain it, but I echo Maurice's sentiment that Teresa and Maurice really eased the burden this year to get this done in a collaborative fashion, so that we can, focus on other things. Obviously, everyone's very busy and things are not typical. So I do appreciate both team desire to really wrap this up in a fair way, but also, being time sensitive as well. So, Teresa, it's all yours.
Okay, thank you. So this was a very unique negotiations. We started in person with our teams and had to follow right away into a virtual. That was very productive, successful, very easy to work with the FEA in that area. The tentative agreement that we reached is, in summary, we had some language for the coaching schedules, updating just some of the language to make it more clear for what each coach is paid on their percentages and how it applies. We did add the esports coach to that schedule, and we included the bowling coach as well, with an increase to the UHS athletic coordinator. In addition, for the salary, everyone would advance a single step on the salary schedules that are already in place. And those that were at the top step of the K-12 schedule would receive an off-schedule payment since they couldn't advance a step. We had a language on the a physical therapist that has a doctorate degree to make sure that they had an additional stipend that they would miss the master's to match up with that. And then the TCEC salary schedule, the same thing, they all advance a step. And then those that could not advance a step, we agreed to a flat off-schedule payment based on a master's or a bachelor's schedule. And the hourly employees with TCEC would receive a 2% off-schedule payment. In addition to the wages that we came to the tentative agreement, we also had the calendar for the 2021 school year that we were able to TA much earlier than this, and then just put this all together. So I would like to thank the FEA bargaining team and our bargaining team as well. It was really a nice time working with everybody. So with that, that's the summary of the TA. Not sure if Danya was going to unmute. So, so with that, we bring it to the board for recommendation for approval.
Sorry, yes. What she said.
Is there a, we'll motion, some motions, and then we can offer any additional comments. Is there a motion to approve the TA for the, between the school district and the FEA?
I'll motion again.
Moved by Nan, seconded by
Second.
Sandra. Any questions or commentary?
I guess the only comment that I would have is it's it's just really nice to see everyone working so well together towards this common goal. And I'm really excited for us and for the teachers.
So, do you want me to get the one or do you want me to wait?
Yeah, I was struck by the term collaboration as I was listening to Teresa and listening to Maurice's explanation during public comments. So it's really positive for the district to have such a good working collaborative relationship, and we appreciate everybody's contributions to that.
4 days.
Roll call, Ms. Shepherd?
Hart,
Yes.
Ibrahim,
Yes.
Kermuller,
Yes.
Latash,
Yes.
O'Donnell,
Yes.
Dookie,
Yes.
President Davison.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. With 7 yes votes, the agreement with the FEA is approved. Item 7.2, the request to approve the FAES TA, tentative agreement.
So that one, pretty similar. The MEA represents both the teaching group as well as the secretarial group. It follows the same parameters as the teachers contract pretty much. Teresa, anything you wanted to add? I know that was a pretty smooth process as well.
This was the easiest by far that I've ever experienced. So thank you to the FAES for making this work really well. So we didn't have any meetings like we had with the others. We were able to just work this out through back and forth communication. So it was great. So with this proposal, this is similar, the full step and an off-schedule payment to those that could not advance. And we would like to bring that to the board for approval.
Is there a motion to approve the FAES tentative agreement?
I move to accept.
Moved by Anna and seconded by
Sandra.
Sandra.
Second.
Any questions or comments? All right, that sounds good. Roll call, Ms. Shepherd?
Ibrahim,
Yes.
Kermuller,
Yes.
Latash,
Yes.
O'Donnell,
Yes.
Dookie,
Yes.
Hart,
Yes.
President Davison.
Yes.
Thank you.
With 7 yes votes, the item is approved. Item 7.3, the request to approve the AFSA tentative agreement.
This one again, like the others, we worked with, Teresa worked with Eric Bruner and Sean Butler and Carl Corey. Again, follows very similar to the teachers group in terms of what was agreed upon, fairly, very smooth process. Teresa, anything to add? Again, the very similar parameters to the other one.
Nothing more to add. Just thank you to their team. This again was another. This was all virtual with AFSA, and it was very collaborative and very successful. And everybody worked together to make their schedules work and to be part of it. So thank you.
Yeah. One thing to clarify is just the reason why administrators have a longevity is their steps range about 1%. Whereas, like, for example, on a teacher's schedule, percent is roughly, around 4%. So it's not apples to apples in terms of the step progression. So, monetarily wise, it's very similar.
All right, is there a motion to approve the AFSA tentative agreement?
I move.
Moved by Jackie, seconded by
Second.
Sandra. Any other comments, questions? All right, seeing none, roll call, Ms. Shepherd, please.
Mueller,
Yes.
Latosh,
Yes.
O'Donnell,
Yes.
Hart,
Yes.
Ibrahim,
Yes.
Dookie,
Yes.
President Davison.
Yes.
Thank you.
With 7 yes votes, the item is approved. Item 7.4, the request to approve the resolution policy waiver amendment.
So if you remember, we talked at our last meeting about the Neola resolutions that we're proposing. I did send those Neola resolutions to our school attorney, Truan Law Firm. They believe that, as the board pointed out, that those policies become, or those resolutions become outdated and not really worded in the way that they had liked. Their recommendation was to pass this resolution because there's a lot of decisions that we're making that obviously are following the executive order, but might not be in line with board policy. Obviously, we know that our board policy, certain things are suspended as it relates to, say, evaluations, attendance, those types of things due to the executive order. This just makes it, acceptable in the sense. So again, there's nothing in here that really changes anything. It just makes what we're doing, it's lawyer speak in terms of resolutions, that there are certain board policies that obviously are suspended due to the executive orders. So here's where it gets to that part, number 8. It's really up to the board, in terms of the comfort level. Mike and Sandra we did discuss it when we reviewed the board packet. There was not anything in there that we felt was out of what we're currently doing right now. So if there's questions, if you want to discuss.
Okay, well, and we can, we'll have another chance after the motion. Is there a motion to approve the resolution policy waiver amendment?
So move.
Moved by Jim, seconded by
Second.
Nan. Any comments or questions?
Yeah, what I liked about this resolution is anytime that a policy needs to be suspended, there's a requirement that the superintendent report that to the board president. It does provide some balance. It's not just a wholesale grant of sort of unfettered authority. So, but at the same time, things that need to be done can be done efficiently without having to call a meeting for relatively minor things that are required to comply with major executive orders. So I appreciate Dr. Bazzi going out and getting this for us, this legal opinion and the resolution.
I think this addresses the concerns that we had regarding the Neola policies before, and I agree with Jim, and it provides the district what it needs to move forward with and comply with the executive orders in the weird world we're in right now. So I appreciate it. Thanks.
We we are collaborating with Dr. Bazzi regularly, and she's keeping us apprised of important information, and also she's been making decisions left and right that need to be made in the best interest of our district and the students. So, you know, we will continue to collaborate that way, and you know, this resolution just continues to further that collaborative relationship. Roll call, Ms. Shepherd.
Latosh,
Yes.
O'Donnell,
Yes.
Dookie,
Yes.
Hart,
Yes.
Ibrahim,
Yes.
Kermuller,
Yes.
President Davison.
Yes.
Thank you.
With 7 yes votes, the item is approved. Agenda item 7.5, the request to approve the AP Mobile Computer Science Applications, Art 6, and the Google G Suite and Apps courses.
Good evening, everybody. Hope you're all doing well. Thanks for giving me a few minutes tonight. First course that I'd like to propose is AP Computer Science Principles. This will be a full year course designed to be equivalent to first semester introductory college computing. In this course, students will develop computational thinking skills vital for success across all disciplines, such as computational tools to analyze and study data, and working with large data sets to analyze, visualize, and draw conclusions from trends. The course engages students in the creative aspects of the field by allowing them to develop computational artifacts based on their interests. Students will also develop effective communication and collaboration skills by working individually and collaboratively to solve problems, and will discuss and write about the impacts these solutions could have on their community, society, and the world. Jumping down to the data that was used for this course, the beginning of the 2019-2020 school year, Ferndale High School students completed an equal opportunity school student survey, and on that survey, the overwhelming majority of students indicated that their classes were not rigorous. So by adding an advanced placement computer science course, we'll be adding rigor to the students' opportunities. The rationale also coming out of our work with EOS, the goal for Ferndale High School is to add advanced placement offerings for FHS students. Back in February, the Ferndale High School equity team met to discuss new options, and Maurice Tellisford, who is already teaching mobile computer science apps, came up with the suggestion that he could actually teach AP and non-AP computer science side by side because of the way the course is structured. So this is actually a way to add an advanced placement course without having any impact on the master schedule. So no additional teacher salary, no additional sections. So that's AP Computer Science Principles. Do you want me to keep going, or do you want to discuss each class individually?
I have them as one action item, but if the board has questions, they can certainly ask.
Okay.
However you want to proceed, Mike, or you can go through all three and then you can ask.
Why don't you just go ahead and go through all three, Tom?
Okay, fair enough. Next course, Art 6. It's a one semester class for 6th grade students, providing them the opportunity to take an art class that dives into the basics of the 14 elements of art and principles of design. Students will be provided with activities that foster creative expression, communication through artistic endeavor, and appreciation of culture and heritage. Activities will include those that enable students to refine their technique, increase their artistic vocabulary, express themselves in their worldview, make connections to other content areas, develop their own aesthetic, and strengthen their critical abilities. Students will use a variety of artistic tools and materials, including but not limited to acrylic paint, colored pencils, watercolor paint, printmaking, fabric and fiber, clay, and technology. And for students who are interested, even though this is a one semester course, they can take it twice, effectively turning it into a full year course. Jumping down to the student voice, students were asked if they would be interested in taking 6th grade art. Overwhelmingly, they said yes. Furthermore, they were asked if they wanted that to be a one semester, a full year class, pretty evenly split, but definitely an overwhelming demand for the course. Rationale, to follow up on the data, currently we have no 6th grade art program, so students can go 1 to 3 years without having an art class from elementary into high school. So there's a likelihood that they'll forget some of the basics they learned in elementary. So in art, we foster creativity, individualism, and problem solving. This class could help students in their core classes by developing those essential skills. In addition, this would add to what's a somewhat limited set of 6th grade electives. Our final proposal for tonight, Google G Suite and Apps for Education, a one semester elective course designed to be a tutorial to support students in utilizing the assortment of Google apps and extensions available to them in order to enhance their online learning experience. Students will learn how to use the apps and extensions that can aid them to improve both executive functioning skills like organization and academic skills like grammar. Students explore apps like Gmail, Google Drive, Google Sites, Docs, Slides, Forms, Calendar, and useful extensions such as Save as PDF, Awesome Screenshot, and Google Dictionary. The data that was used to generate this course came right after school closure happened in March. Teachers received many emails from students and from parents asking how to use some of the Google tools that they were being asked to use in the remote learning environment. Parent voice was also included in that. As much as the students were struggling, parents and families were struggling trying to support their students. So they were frequently emailing teachers asking how to use the Google tools. And again, I already touched on a little bit, but the rationale, the recent events have caused us to move to a more virtual and digital educational platform that has definitely added to concern that students are not capable of using their technology for educational purposes. Students all have FPS Google accounts. This class would ensure that students know how to use those tools properly in an educational setting. Yeah, so that's that. One of the things that I want to say about both of those middle school elective classes is we're not asking you to approve that they have to run. We're asking you to approve that we offer them to students. So just because a class is approved doesn't mean that it'll necessarily have to be staffed. But we do want to provide students with opportunities to choose courses that are of interest to them. Questions?
Will there be a section offered for the parents on the Google platforms? Just joking.
No, but we could.
So Tom, my question is also about the Google platforms. Is the interest in that coming from teachers, students, or parents?
So it's a little bit of all three, to be honest with you. The parents and students were emailing teachers, so that kind of generated the interest from the teachers. The teachers were the ones who came to me and asked to come to you with this proposal, but that was kind of out of a desire to support students and students and parents who were frustrated by what they're being asked to do in the remote environment.
I'm just curious, if we're no longer remote, will you still have interest in this? I mean, like, do you foresee enough kids enrolling in the Google platform class?
I do, for a couple of reasons. Ferndale High School well, not just Ferndale High, I mean, starting with Ferndale Middle School, teachers are asking students to do more with the Google Suite, definitely at the high school level where students are writing papers, making presentations. They're going to be using the Google Suite. So the sooner the students learn how to use all of the tools, the more effectively teachers can be implementing them in their courses. And the last thing I'll say about that is not only at the high school level, but a lot of colleges are actually moving to the Google Suite of tools. So this is a set of skills that the students will be able to take with them and use for several years. So yes, I think even if we're not remote, there is enough of a demand for the skills that this class would offer.
Okay, thanks.
Tom, regarding the art class, sixth grade art, will that be repeatable?
Yes, that class, sorry, I should have said that. The sixth grade art class is repeatable. The Google Suite class really would not be repeatable.
Okay.
I just have one question. Is this possible that this could be? A second. Alex, bubble. Sorry, they just came home. So is this something that could be possibly offered even starting at the elementary level, like even for the fifth graders, to get them used to this? Because my daughter right now is in the Montessori class and she's going to second grade, but she's using Google Suite. So we are using that now. Was this something that can even be offered for them? So like you said, as they're going into, or is this only for middle school and high school?
This class specifically is middle school students. I know the digital or the Media 2.0 curriculum has some Google applications teachings in it, but I am not 100% sure exactly how much of the Google Suite is included.
It's quite a bit.
My guess is after this remote experience, we will be incorporating some basic Google training across the board. But we haven't had conversations about exactly what will go where as far as curriculum into other situations.
Okay.
Other questions from the board?
And just want to follow up with what Tom was saying. With our Media 2.0 at the elementary level and our social emotional learning modules and our impact hour, all of the building level SEL teams are working on embedding more digital literacy into that platform, into that work. We already have digital citizenship, but we will continue to add digital literacy based on the needs of our families. So we are working to ensure that we're all learning and growing from this pandemic and what our students may need.
All right, thank you, Dina and Tom. Is there a motion to approve the agenda item?
I move.
Moved by Jackie, seconded by?
I can second.
Seconded by Jen. Any other further board comment or questions? Roll call, Ms. Shepherd.
O'Donnell,
Yes.
Dookie, Dookie,
Yes, sorry.
no problem. Hart,
Yes.
Ibrahim,
Yes.
Kermuller,
Yes.
Latash,
Yes.
President Davison.
Yes.
Excuse me. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. With 7 yes votes, the item passes. Now we move to action agenda item 7.6. I just Want to point out that we are in the action agenda item portion of the meeting, and the public comment section is closed. So this will be an opportunity for the board to comment or question on any further agenda items. Item 7.6, the request to approve the superintendent evaluation for the 2019-2020 school year. This, last week, Monday, May 11th, the Board of Education met with Dr. Bazzi to go over the superintendent evaluation rubric and the goals that the board and Dr. Bazzi agreed on for the 2019-2020 school year. It was a thorough process, and we had a chance to look over all the areas and data to support the areas. And the board is pleased to note tonight that Dr. Bazzi was rated as highly effective for this school year once again. And,
yeah, thank you guys for last week. We did. It was a good experience, and I learned a lot. I took a lot of takeaways from that evaluation meeting, and I really am thankful for a board that invests so much time throughout this process in terms of really taking the time to have these discussions. They make me a better leader. They make me more reflective. They keep me aligned, and they ensure that you stay on the path of the goals that you set forth at the beginning. I appreciate the diligence in making the time for this. I know, everyone has families and work, but that feedback is an invaluable part of being a school leader, and I'm very appreciative to the support and guidance that you guys have given me, not only this year, but every year since I've been in Ferndale. So thank you.
Well, just for general comment time. Yeah, I appreciate the results that you've gotten and the work that you do, Danya. And I know that just speaking for myself, that we can pose, I pose challenges to you from time to time, and I just really value your alignment with the board in terms of putting students first. I think that makes us an effective team together with the staff and faculty, and things are moving in the right direction in Ferndale, even if they're not at the state and in the really across the world, in the country and the world. And I think they're moving in the right direction largely as a result of the everyday work that you do along with the whole team that works for you, works with you.
I agree. All of the stuff that we discussed in the evaluation was because we have support staff, teachers, administrators, cabinet, everyone that works together to ensure that we stay on track. And of course, I have to thank Kim Shepard, who is always a sounding board, always works to make my life as easy as possible and streamlined, and keeps me organized. So
thank you.
It's a blessing to work with Kim and with the cabinet team, who just work tirelessly on behalf of our students. Obviously, I'm one small piece of the puzzle, and their sums far outweigh my one position. So I'm eternally grateful to each of them.
Is there a motion to approve the evaluation for Dr. Bazzi for the 2019-2020 school year?
Moved.
Moved by Sandra, seconded by
Second.
Seconded by Anna. Any further comments? Roll call, Ms. Shepherd?
Dookie,
Yes.
Hart,
Yes.
Ibrahim,
Yes.
Kermuller,
Yes.
Latash,
Yes.
O'Donnell,
Yes.
President Davison.
Yes. With 7 yes votes, the item is approved. Dr. Bazzi's evaluation for the 2019-2020 school year. And that brings us to agenda item 7.7, the request to approve the superintendent contract. In conjunction with the evaluation, the board also revisited Dr. Bazzi's contract, and the board has come to an agreement with Dr. Bazzi to extend the contract for a 4th year, as well as extend Dr. Bazzi increase in salary and some other benefits as well as outlined in the contract. And well, I won't say more. I'll leave it to the rest of the board if they'd like to make comments. I could take a motion and then we can comment.
I move.
Moved by Jim, seconded by
I'll second.
Jen. Comments, comments?
Seems good.
Yeah. Oh, Anna, were you going to say something?
No. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that during the evaluation, we had the opportunity to, ask questions and talk through some of the questions and advice we got from the board's attorney, as well as what was proposed. And what I would like to say is that I view the increases as quite modest, just over 2%, and entirely consistent, maybe even a little bit lower than what other employee groups in the district are getting. And I really do view this as in the best interest of Ferndale schools. I think the 4th year on the contract is well earned, and there are adequate safeguards in the contract language from the board, the district, and the district's perspective. Also, that this isn't a one-sided agreement. So, just I support this wholeheartedly. I'm glad when you have somebody that you really value as an employer. You want to do what you can to keep them operating as effectively as possible. And I think this is the best way that we have to do that.
Jim, one thing I'll add is the board did ask me the question, kind of in discussing the 4th year why. And I do find it that I do have to explain that and provide reasoning to that. We're embarking on a great bond initiative that the citizens of Ferndale Public Schools approved. We just approved last year's strategic plan that we're using as our guiding map for the district that has 4 years left on it. to me, as Jim said, it's a mutual agreement in terms of our commitment to one another to see the projects and plans that we've outlined and see them through. Obviously, as Jim said, there's safeguards, which should be, because at the end of the day, all of us should be working in terms of what's best for the students of Ferndale Public Schools. And so to me, I see this as this agreement as more reasonings why I can't disappoint our students, disappoint our community, disappoint the board, disappoint staff. It's a renewed commitment that I'll give everything that I can to ensure that we're successful, that people are happy, that students are learning. So, you know, my commitment to Ferndale Public Schools. I love being an Eagle. This job has been nothing but a gift, and I will never take that for granted.
I just wanted to pop in here and echo everything that Jim said, and just reiterate how lucky we are at how dedicated and committed you are to Ferndale Public Schools, and personally how much I appreciate what a high moral and ethical standard you hold yourself to, and how important I think that is as a leader. And I just really appreciate you.
Thank you, Nan. I appreciate you.
Roll call, Ms. Shepherd.
Hart. Hart.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Ibrahim.
Yes.
Kermuller.
Yes.
Latash.
Yes.
O'Donnell.
Yes.
Dookie.
Yes.
President Davison.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. With 7 yes votes, the superintendent's contract is approved. That takes us to informational items on the agenda. Item 8.1, the Head Start cost of living adjustment and quality improvement funding increase application.
So Heidi Schmidt, our director of our early childhood program, will be submitting the COLA application, which is the cost of living adjustment and a quality improvement funding increase application. So for her to be able to submit that application, we have to show that the application itself was on the board agenda. We'll have, after this point, Mike will sign this and we will be able to submit the application. So it's, again, a yearly occurrence that it's on the agenda as an informational item, and she'll be able to submit after that point.
All right, thank you, Dr. Bazzi. Item 8.2, the budget to actual report.
So again, Nancy Hoover puts this together for us every month. It's kind of just a high-level check and balance in terms of our spending. Obviously, as expected, our spending is slowed down slightly, but there's also reasons for that variance due to the school closure. At this point last year, we had 27.93% left of our allocated expenditures to spend down. And this year, right now at this time this year, we're at about 29.10%. Again, she's highlighted, if you look at A, B, C, D, E, the variances between those percentages, why those are occurring. For example, for item A, the prior year included the purchase of a new math curriculum paid in the first part of the budget year, full year budgeted of a recently filled position, and then new position budgeted full year, not filled until January 2020. So the variance is explained in those 5 items and shows us that our spending is within the normal variance.
All right. Go ahead.
Danya, would you be able to bring us at the next maybe committee of the whole meeting or elsewhere?
Yeah.
Just the I don't think we need every detail of the plan, but just the rough plan that we would use the CARES Act, the additional Title I money from the CARES Act, how that would be used.
Yes, I have that outlined and actually can send, we can discuss it at the committee of the whole. I'll send you kind of a rough outline of our thinking for next year.
Okay, great.
All right, there were no pulled consent agenda items. Our next board meeting is a committee of the whole meeting scheduled for Monday, June 8th, 2020 at 6 p.m. And our next regular board meeting is scheduled for Monday, June 15th, 2020. Which brings us to our Eagle Points of Pride for this month.
I can start. Anyone else doesn't have a burning desire to go first?
Go ahead.
All right then. I just want to thank everyone that was involved in the negotiation process for all the contracts. Contract negotiation is difficult in the best of times, and we are in probably one of the strangest times that I've ever gone through with the school district with regard to what's happening with COVID and the shutdown of the state. So the fact that all the parties and negotiating teams could work together with such trust and openness to reach these contracts that I think show the trust and the commitment and the importance of every person within this district working for the kids. I just want to thank the team, and I also want to thank you, Danya, for working with us so wonderfully with your evaluation. And I think your contract as well is fair and transparent, and it shows that the kids are number one in this district, and I think it's reflective in all the contracts down the board. So I just want to thank the whole team for all that amazing work and getting that done so quickly, and so with the integrity for the staffs. Thanks.
I can go second. I had heard a lot about and from various people how good the staff and the administrators have been with the kids during the school shutdown. And recently I had the opportunity to have personal experience with that now that I am homeschooling my grandson in preparation for him going to Ferndale next year. And it's all true. Katie Jeffries has been wonderful. The 5th grade teachers have been wonderful. And one of the things that was nice to see was the curriculum that I've been given aligns so well with the social emotional learning piece that we've been talking about. They've made a real effort to walk the walk. And you see all these programs and this philosophy embedded within the curriculum, and I appreciate that.
I can go next. My point of pride is for the class of 2020. This is a crazy, messed up way of exiting your high school career and moving on with your life. But what I have seen is sorry, I'll get choked up. I have seen young people who are entering out into this world with such grace and power, and they're going to move out there and they're going to change the world. It's super exciting. I know that this is not how you all wanted to celebrate, but man, it has been a pleasure to watch you grow, and I just cannot wait to see what happens in the future.
So I'll follow Nan. Nan, thanks for crying for the both of us. I also was going to give a shout out for the class of 2020, but particularly our school board reps. You guys have been wonderful and have totally rocked it out. Like when we had this idea, I had no idea that what we would get out of it would be so great. So you have set the bar high, and I know that our juniors are going to rise to the occasion because they're now seniors. And then we had a couple of interviews this week, and I think we're gonna have, I think there are some people that are excited to follow in your footsteps. So my shout out is to our senior student reps. Thank you for setting the bar high and paving the way for people who actually, for other students who actually want to do the job.
Well done.
Yes. Yeah, I just want to build on that to say how grateful I am for our student representatives too. They actively participated, especially at committee of the whole meetings where we do have a little more freewheeling discussion and participation. And I'm grateful for their voices. And I'm also grateful that a teacher reached out to me just about the political and budget uncertainty at the state level. And so I just wanted to take the opportunity to acknowledge that there are a lot of unknowns and uncertainty in general with the state budget and how much revenue is going to be lost or has already been lost and is projected to be lost over the next year and more. But that we are in a strong position here in Ferndale in terms of our fund balance, so much so that we can approve ratified tentative agreements that provide increases to our employees going into next year, and know exactly where that money is coming from, even if the state does reduce the budget. So I'm appreciative of the questions. I acknowledge the uncertainty, and just look forward to working, into well into next year with a great group of faculty and staff people.
So I just want to give my appreciation for the Diversity Committee. The Diversity Committee has really stepped up over the past few weeks to meet and to come together and try and figure out what as a committee can be done in this time of uncertainty in order to support our families and our students. So I truly appreciate all of the parent volunteers, even community members who have volunteered to kind of help out with this effort. And I also want to just echo Sandra. Naya and Kai are on the call, but I just want to say thank you. This was our first year of revamping the way our student representatives participated with the board. And as Sandra said, you set the bar high. And I'm really looking forward to Naya seeing where your next steps lead you. And I hope that you stay in contact with us to let us know how you're doing. So best wishes to you.
Or Danya?
Oh, my turn. It's hard to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
That's okay. I got you.
Thank you, Nan. Mine, like a lot of people, I have to give the shout out to our student reps, all 4 of them. But Zoe, Naya, we're gonna miss you guys so much. You two are really something special, and I can't wait to see all the great things you accomplish. I sincerely mean this. If there's anything you ever need, tutoring in math, you need help, at that point, call me, text me, FaceTime me, whatever you need. But, I hope next year at some point, maybe after your first semester, if you're able to surprise us at a board meeting, because nothing would make us happier than to see you guys and for you to share a little bit of your journey with us. So I just ask that you keep in touch, tell your Ferndale story to everyone you meet, tell them all the great things you did in Ferndale and what you enjoyed about us and what you missed. So we just ask that you don't forget us, and we certainly won't forget you.
And I just wanted to also name is my point of pride, the class of 2020. It's the class is going to do great things. This is not the way the school board, of course, wanted it to conclude, but we're handed unexpected curveballs, and we figure out how to hit them. So we appreciate our 2020 seniors, and know that you'll do good things. And I wanted to reiterate what Jim said. Despite the financial cuts that are looming, I'm pleased that our budgeting over the last few years has, and combined with everything else, but that, the agreements, the collaboration with the teachers and all of our bargaining units has allowed us to both give increases and increase the fund balance, and put us in a position where even now that we can continue to support our staff. So I'm proud of that, and proud of all the work that everybody has done to make that happen over the last few years.
Can I say one thing?
Well, sure.
Oh, no, if you're not done, it's okay.
Well, I'm done, but yeah, this just is concluding our our regular board meeting for the this date tonight. We will adjourn at 8:38 p.m.